What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs summer league season is officially over. They finished 4-1, which is really good, right? They had their consolation game against the Detroit Pistons, which they won, so they finished on a high note. But beyond that, obviously they weren't able to make the actual tournament. But you saw some real bright spots. There were several guys that not only have interest. The Spurs have interest in that, had some pros and cons. And then also some real bright spots, right? Jones Garcia, he was a guy that it's like, man, you might have to get that guy on the roster. So definitely, again, a few bright spots. You had a couple standouts. You got a little bit of Dylan Harper, just 2 games. Carter Bryant looks like he is ready to go, at least defensively. Offensively, definitely has some struggles, definitely has some works, but again, he's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to kind of get into the swing of things, get his legs under him, really kind of understand and grasp the game to an NBA level, right? But you see the promise in Carter Bryant, right? I mean, look, I've said it before when we drafted him, right? And I've said it in other videos, breaking him down, is that, I think he's either, best case scenario, another, Kawhi Leonard type, star, two-way, get you a stop, get you a bucket guy. Or at worst, he's like an OG, maybe Mikal Bridges type of player, right? Just like a premier kind of 3-and-D guy that can slot in every team wants on their roster, can defend 1 through 5 for you. That's kind of what I see him in the mold is. And look, I even think that if you jumped into a time machine, came back and was like, hey, Carter Bryant is our best player, not named Victor Wembanyama, I would not be surprised at all. I mean, the guy's upside is out of this world. David Jones Garcia, right, another guy that really stood out for the Spurs during this run. I mean, the guy's a bucket, right? It's that simple. The guy is absolutely. I mean, he finished with 23 points on 8 of 14 and 4 of 6 from 3-point range in that Detroit game. He's also shown the ability to make plays. He's shown the ability to rebound. Right? He's done. He hasn't just been a scorer during summer league. You've seen him, play defense and get after it and, doing the dirty work, making the hustle plays, but also, hitting shots and being kind of this offensive hub for them, which I think would be really great to bring in. And with his size, being 6'6", he's a guy that you can slot in, 2, 3, even on some occasions a 4 if you're kind of going a more smaller unit to kind of just spread the floor, maybe try to run teams out the gym. He's a guy that I think if you're the Spurs, you bring in. They still have 2 main roster spots that they can fill. There's getting a guy like a Garcia. They got to figure out what are they going to do with Minix and Barnes, right? Or Harrison Ingram. There we go. Not Barnes. I was thinking Harrison Barnes, but Harrison Ingram, right? They need to kind of figure out what they're going to do with him. Are they keeping them around? Are they going to end up getting off of them? Right? What are they going to do? How are they going to kind of structure their 2-ways? They still have 2-way spot, but do they get off of guys? Do they bring in guys? So, no, I assume the Spurs are probably going to take a step back for the next few days, kind of evaluate, okay, which guys do we really like on the Summer League roster? Which guys really stood out to us? Any guys worth keeping and kind of, adding into a 2-way or a main roster? I'm sure that they're still, exploring various trades and upgrades and options, right? Because, I mean, that's the time of the year that you're in. Right? You want to continue to do your due diligence. You want to continue to try to find those spots, find those trades, find those moves, those opportunistic things. Right? I don't think the Spurs need to go rush to go do a trade or rush to sign somebody, anything like that. We're still 2.5 months away from training camp. Right? So there's still a lot of time for the Spurs to kind of figure out how do they want to shape up the last of this roster? There we go. Words are hard. And how do they want to, do they want to kind of go a veteran route? Do they want to go kind of this youthful route? Do they want to bring in a couple guys? They want to go 1-and-1, maybe one veteran guy, one youthful guy. What positions do they want to fill? I mean, you look at kind of the Spurs roster and it's like, okay, they're flushed with guards. They're fine in that regard. You can even argue they're flushed with those 6'7" and 6'8" wings, right? The big man position, you got Cornette, you got Kelly Olynyk, you got Victor Wembanyama, right? So do you want to go and take a flyer and bring in guys, like I said, a David Jones Garcia, bring somebody like him in, let him kind of be the 14th guy, maybe bring in Minix or, Harrison Ingram, or maybe you're bringing in somebody that, we're not thinking about. right? Like an Imani Bates or somebody, or maybe somebody that was on another roster that looked really good, right? They could use some shooting, right? They look at some guy like Cole Schwider was the best shooter in Summer League, right? Like that guy definitely slot into the corner, be kind of that outlet man for a De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, or Stephon Castle making plays and have the kick out man. Right? Like there's plenty kind of on the table, plenty of different directions in which the Spurs can go. And I expect, Brian Wright to kind of take a step back, evaluate what he wants to evaluate, see which guys, make sense. I definitely want to break down a couple guys, the guys that are supposed to be the two-way guys as well as, Jones Garcia and stuff. So I'll do that in coming videos. Outside of David Jones Garcia, there were guys that had moments. There were guys that, I liked and I wouldn't mind kind of keeping around if that's what you wanted to do. But there weren't there was nobody that I looked at and was like, that's the guy. You know what I mean? Like, outside of David Jones Garcia, there was nobody that I looked at and was like, obviously Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper, they're already on the roster, right? I'm talking about like the other guys. Like there was nobody that I looked at on the Spurs Summer League roster was like, man, that guy would really fill a hole for us. That guy would really do this, that, and the other. Like even Harrison Ingram and stuff. Like, there was moments here and there. He showed the defensive versatility at times, but it wasn't anything where it's like, oh man, like, if we lose him, what are we doing here? Right? I feel like he's, if you can keep him, great. If you need to let him go and go find greener pastures elsewhere. Right? And also, do you want to kind of go the development route? Because you already have so many guys you want to develop. Right? So do you want to kind of go the veteran route? It's why I've talked about the veteran route so much. Because it's like, you already have more than enough young guys. A lot of young guys that you need to develop at literally every position. You have from point guard all the way to center. I mean, even Wemby's still growing and developing, right? And then you add in, Julian Champagnie and, Carter Bryant, Jeremy Sohan, right? Like, you go down the list of these guys. I mean, at some point, you're probably going to have to make a consolidation trade with Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell and some of these guys because you already have these other guys that are going to kind of be that next wave for you that you're growing and developing. So it's why I like the idea of kind of going the veteran route, maybe bring in a Jones Garcia, let him slot in. He was good enough to where it's warranted, right? So you bring him in, kind of see what he can do for a year or two, and then maybe bring in another veteran piece that can kind of slot in, kind of help be a mentor, stuff like that. I've seen comments of like, Spurs, don't necessarily need a mentor. Of course they do. Why do you think Chris Paul was so impactful and so important? Why do you think teams go and, pay guys like a Udonis Haslem for years, not even to play, to just stick around, or Jared Dudley or these guys, because they're important, they're valuable. I mean, SGA to this day still credits Chris Paul for the player that he became. Right? And we've seen what Chris Paul has been able to do with guards and kind of the evolution of them when he sticks around with them and stuff. So, anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.